Rumors had been spreading for weeks in Cambridge, Massachusetts, about a sealed room at MIT where sound did not behave like sound. It was the summer of 2019 when Dr. Elena Alvarez, a Mexican-American condensed matter physicist from Guadalajara, led a small team in Building 6 to test what they called an acoustic temporal resonator, an experiment funded quietly, as the memos later showed, by a combination of university grants and a shadowed line item from DARPA. The device was born of ordinary ambition: harness entangled phonon modes in engineered lattices to create an ultra-low noise channel. In the lab notes Elena kept, she described that first anomalous capture as a recorded impossibility: a saxophone phrase, a laugh, and a voice saying, "You always listen at dusk, don't you?" The voice belonged to Daniel O'Connor, a saxophonist who lived in Boston's South End in the 1970s. Public records show a Daniel O'Connor playing small clubs off Harrison Avenue, and a woman named Rose Keating who would later become the subject of Elena's favorite archival photograph. The team treated the signal as a contamination at first, but the recordings persisted over days, then months, consistent in cadence and personal detail. Elena, by then alone in the lab on late nights, began answering the voice aloud into the resonator. The answer came back days later, as if folding time into a whisper. What began as academic curiosity became a private conversation bridging 45 years. Elena and Daniel spoke about minor things: the smell of rain on hot pavement, the score of a ball game, a joke about bad coffee, and the conversations threaded into intimacy. The lab logs, declassified in 2022, include fragments. Daniel: "You describe a movie I've never seen." Elena: "I saw it in 2019. Daniel: "Tell me about flying without wings." Their letters, never written on paper but stored as acoustic imprints in the resonator's cache, are the kind of human documents historians note with difficulty: verifiable audio tied to biometric signatures recorded by lab equipment. Word leaked. An internal ethics review convened. DARPA sent observers. Marcus Reed, an MIT mechanical engineer who had been assigned to validate the resonator's thermal stability, became the team's liaison. He logged the institutional concerns and, beyond his duty, grew protective of Elena as her nights lengthened and conversation deepened. Documentary footage later showed him at a window watching Memorial Drive while she replied to a joke about a 1970s jukebox. The romance that followed was not simple. Daniel lived in a time with different rules. He would marry in 1978, a fact corroborated by public records. Elena was bound to a present that could not be shared in ordinary ways. Yet for months they improvised. Elena taught him about antibiotics, about phones that fit in pockets. Daniel taught her how to hear a song until it felt like a hand. The resonator's transcripts read like a cross-century courtship: shy confessions, shared playlists, a cigarette smoke confession about the sting of loneliness. The turning point came when Elena learned from an old city ledger that Daniel would die in a 1979 car crash under circumstances that looked, on paper, preventable. Her scientific instinct to preserve intersected violently with her affection. Marcus proposed a cold experiment: send an acoustic warning embedded as static into Daniel's timeline and observe. The team argued ethics and paradox. MIT's counsel warned of unknown consequences. Elena, who had staked her career on reproducible effects, chose love over protocol. They tried. The resonator emitted a structured burst that in later transcripts reads like a plea: "Don't take Route 3. Leave at noon." For 7 days, Daniel's replies were different: alive, suspicious, grateful. Then the voice faded into background noise.